Snow fell thick outside the old stone chapel, blanketing the steps in white as warm wedding music echoed inside. Marcus Reed leaned forward, preparing to kiss his bride. Just a few more seconds. Then a hand gripped his wrist. Not a guest. Not family. Vivian Blackwood, the cold billionaire CEO, his boss. She pulled him away from the altar without a word of explanation. 5 seconds later, when Marcus looked at the phone screen she held out, everything he believed about this marriage collapsed completely. The chapel was 200 years old, with vaulted ceilings that made every sound feel sacred. White roses lined the aisle, their petals perfect against the dark wood pews. Through the stained glass windows, Marcus could see snow continuing to fall, transforming the cemetery beyond into something from a painting. 300 guests filled every seat. The scent of pine and candle wax hung in the air. Marcus stood at the altar in his charcoal suit, hands clasped in front of him. His palms were slightly damp. At 42, he'd thought he was past wedding nerves, but here he was, heart racing like a teenager. In the front row, Noah sat perfectly still in his miniature vest and bow tie. 7 years old, with Marcus's dark eyes and a smile that could light up a room. The boy's small hands were folded in his lap, but Marcus could see the excitement vibrating through him. This was the day Noah had talked about for months. "We're finally gonna be a real family, Dad," Noah had said last week while they practiced tying bow ties together. Marcus had corrected him gently. "We've always been a real family, buddy, just you and me." "I know," Noah had replied, with the wisdom of a child who'd learned too early that families came in different shapes. "But now it'll be like other families, with a mom and everything." The organist began the processional. Every head turned. Lauren appeared at the back of the chapel in her ivory gown, a vision of grace. Her auburn hair was swept up, exposing the elegant line of her neck. She'd been crying happy tears, Marcus assumed, and her eyes were bright with emotion. She'd been patient with him. Patient with Noah. Patient through the careful, measured way Marcus had learned to approach relationships after Denise left. Marcus felt his chest tighten with something that felt like relief. Finally. After 5 years of being alone, of being both mother and father, of microwave dinners and parent-teacher conferences, where he was the only dad in a sea of moms finally, he was building something stable for Noah. Lauren reached the altar. Through her veil, she smiled at him. Her hand was warm when it touched his. The minister opened his worn Bible. "Dearly beloved," Marcus glanced at Noah, whose face was pure joy. This was right. This was what they both needed. "We are gathered here today." The chapel door opened. A gust of winter air swept down the aisle, making the candles flicker. Several guests turned with annoyed expressions. Marcus didn't look. Probably a late arrival, trying to slip in quietly, to join this man and this woman in holy matrimony. Footsteps. Steady, purposeful. Not the hesitant shuffle of someone looking for a seat. Marcus felt it before he saw her, that peculiar shift in air pressure that preceded Vivian Blackwood wherever she went. She walked down the center aisle in a black wool coat, snowflakes still melting in her dark hair. No apology in her posture. No acknowledgement of the 300 people staring at her. Vivian Blackwood didn't do churches, didn't do weddings, didn't do anything that wasn't meticulously scheduled in her calendar. Yet here she was. Their eyes met. Hers were gray and utterly unreadable. Lauren's grip on Marcus's hand tightened. The minister paused mid-sentence, confused. Vivian stopped 3 feet from the altar. She didn't look at Lauren, didn't acknowledge the minister. Her gaze was fixed solely on Marcus. "I need to speak with you," she said. Her voice was low, controlled the same tone she used in board meetings when she was about to fire someone. "I'm in the middle of," Marcus started. The chapel had gone absolutely silent. Even the organist had stopped playing. Marcus felt heat rising in his face. "Miss Blackwood, this is completely 5 minutes." Vivian's expression didn't change. "Please." That last word cost her something. Marcus could tell. He looked at Lauren, who'd gone pale beneath her veil. Then at Noah, whose small face was creased with confusion. "I'm sorry," Marcus said to the minister. "Can you give us just a moment?" "Of course." The older man looked relieved to have a script to follow, even if it was improvised. Marcus descended from the altar, acutely aware of every eye on him. His Aunt Clara was shaking her head. His cousin James looked ready to intervene. Vivian was already walking back up the aisle. He followed her into the narthex, the small entrance hall where the chapel met the winter storm outside. The temperature dropped 20 degrees the moment they left the main chapel. The narthex was all stone and cold air, with arched doorways that led outside. Through the windows, Marcus could see his car in the parking lot, already buried under 3 inches of fresh snow. Vivian closed the heavy wooden door behind them. The wedding music cut off, leaving only the howl of wind and the muffled sound of 300 people trying not to whisper. "You have about 90 seconds before I go back in there," Marcus said. His voice came out harder than he'd intended. "This better be. Look at this." Vivian held out her phone. "I don't want to look at anything except my son's face when I marry the woman who's going to be his mother." Marcus heard the anger in his voice now, felt it vibrating in his chest. "You're my boss, Miss Blackwood, not my keeper. Whatever business emergency you think justifies, this can wait until Monday. It's not business." Something in her tone made him stop. Vivian Blackwood didn't do personal. In the 4 years Marcus had worked as her operations director, he'd seen her fire executives without blinking, negotiate billion-dollar deals over breakfast, and work through Christmas morning. She was brilliant and ruthless and completely self-contained. She didn't interrupt weddings. "Then what?" Marcus asked. Vivian tapped her phone screen twice, then held it out again. This time, Marcus looked. The photo showed a hotel lobby. Expensive, modern all glass and steel. The timestamp read 11:47 p.m. Last night, Lauren stood near the elevators in a black cocktail dress Marcus had never seen before. Her auburn hair fell loose over her shoulders. She was laughing, head tilted back, completely at ease. A man's hand rested on the small of her back. His face was turned away from the camera, but his body language spoke clearly enough intimate, possessive, familiar. Through the lobby windows behind them, snow was falling. Marcus stared at the image. His brain felt slow, trying to process what he was seeing. "That's not," he started. Vivian swiped to the next photo. Same lobby, different angle. 11:53 p.m. Lauren and the man standing closer now, his hand on her jaw, tilting her face up, the moment before a kiss. Swipe. 11:58 p.m. The two of them entering an elevator, her hand on his chest. "Stop," Marcus said. Vivian lowered the phone. Marcus's hands had gone numb. "Not from the cold. Where did you get these?" His voice sounded strange to his own ears, distant, mechanical. "The Ashford Hotel. I have a standing arrangement with their security team." Vivian slipped the phone into her coat pocket. "One of my executives stayed there last night. He knows Lauren from somewhere college, I think." He recognized her. "Thought I should know before you made a legal commitment." The wind rattled the windows. Snow was starting to pile up on the sills. "That dress," Marcus said slowly. "She told me she was home last night. Said she wanted an early night before the wedding. I talked to her at 9:30. She was in bed. She called you from the hotel." Vivian's tone was clinical, delivering facts without judgment. "I verified the call records. The Ashford is 40 minutes from your house." Marcus leaned back against the stone wall. The cold seeped through his suit jacket, but he barely felt it. 300 people were waiting inside. Noah was waiting, probably confused and scared. The minister, the flowers, the photographer they'd paid extra to get on a Saturday in December. And Lauren, who'd been patient, who'd won Noah over with chocolate chip pancakes and movie nights, who'd sat through every school play and soccer game for the past year. Lauren, who'd kissed another man 12 hours before their wedding. "Why?" Marcus asked. Not why did she do it, he'd figure that out later. Why did you come here? We're not friends, Miss Blackwood. You and I have exactly one conversation outside of work every year, at the company holiday party. For the first time, something flickered across Vivian's face. Not quite emotion, but a crack in the armor. My ex-husband, she said quietly. I found out 6 months after the wedding. Wished someone had told me before. Through the door, Marcus could hear shuffling. Someone coughed. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Probably Lauren, wondering where he was. I have to go back in there, Marcus said. I know. I have to. He stopped. Wasn't sure what he had to do. Vivian met his eyes. You have 2 choices, Mr. Reed. You can walk back in there and finish the ceremony. Pretend you never saw those photos. Maybe she'll never do it again. And the other choice? Face it now, in front of everyone. Vivian turned toward the door. I'll stay if you need a witness. Or I'll leave. Your decision. She pulled open the heavy door. Warm air and whispered conversation spilled out. Marcus looked past her into the chapel. He could see the back of Noah's head in the front row. 5 seconds earlier, he'd been about to kiss his bride. Now he wasn't sure he knew her at all. Marcus stood in the doorway between the cold narthex and the warm chapel. His body felt split, half frozen, half burning. Vivian had moved aside, giving him space to decide. Her face was carefully neutral, but her presence anchored him somehow. She'd driven through a snowstorm to deliver this information, risked her reputation, interrupted a sacred ceremony, all to show him the truth. The truth. Marcus pulled out his own phone with numb fingers, opened his messages with Lauren from last night. 9:31 p.m. Lauren. Just finished my bath. Heading to bed. Want to be rested and beautiful for you tomorrow. Love you. 9:33 p.m. Marcus. Sleep well. Can't wait to see you in that dress. 9:35 p.m. Lauren. I'm the luckiest woman alive. He looked at Vivian's phone again. The timestamp on the first photo. 11:47 p.m. 2 hours after Lauren told him she was going to sleep. The photos didn't lie. The Ashford Hotel lobby was distinctive. He'd attended a conference there last spring. The Christmas decorations visible in the background matched this year's theme, and that was definitely Lauren, in a dress he'd never seen, with a man whose hand knew exactly where to rest on her back. Marcus's throat tightened. Mr. Reed. The minister appeared in the doorway, looking concerned. Is everything all right? Should we? Give me 2 more minutes, Marcus said. His voice came out steady. That surprised him. The minister nodded and retreated. Marcus watched Noah through the gap in the door. His son had turned around in the pew, small face searching for his father. When their eyes met, Noah gave him a thumbs up and a brave smile. That smile broke something in Marcus's chest. Noah, who'd asked Santa for a mom who stays last Christmas. Who'd introduced Lauren to his teacher as my almost mom with such pride. Who'd practiced his ring-bearer walk for weeks, wanting to get it perfect. Marcus thought about Denise. Noah's biological mother had left when the boy was 18 months old. Just walked out one Tuesday morning while Marcus was at work. Left a note on the kitchen counter. I'm not built for this. I'm sorry. He'd found Noah screaming in his crib 3 hours later. Diaper unchanged, bottle empty. For 5 years, Marcus had been both parents. Had learned to braid hair by watching YouTube videos. Had memorized which vegetables Noah would eat and which he'd hide under his napkin. Had held his son through nightmares. Had been there for every first day of school. First lost tooth. First time he asked why he didn't have a mommy like the other kids. Because sometimes families look different, Marcus had said, holding Noah close. But we have each other. That's what matters. Then Lauren had come along. A kindergarten teacher, patient and warm. She'd seemed perfect, too perfect, maybe. Marcus had been cautious at first, protective, but she'd won him over month by month. More importantly, she'd won Noah over. And now this. Marcus looked at Vivian. How long have you known? Since 6 this morning. I drove 3 hours to get here. She paused. I debated whether to tell you, wondered if ignorance might be kinder. But you told me anyway. Vivian's expression shifted slightly, not quite softening, but revealing something beneath the ice. Because you deserve to make your choice with all the information, not discover the truth in 6 months or a year, and realize you could have walked away clean. The door opened wider. Lauren herself stood there now, veil pushed back, eyes red-rimmed. Marcus, she said softly, please come back. Everyone's waiting. He looked at her, really looked at her for the first time since Vivian had appeared. Searched her face for some sign that the photos were fake, or misunderstood, or anything other than what they appeared to be. She looked afraid. Not confused, not innocent. Afraid. That's when Marcus knew Vivian was telling the truth. We need to talk, he said. Privately, Lauren's face went white. Not now. Not here. After the ceremony, we can. Something in his tone made her step back. Marcus turned to Vivian. Thank you for coming. You can go. Vivian nodded once, then walked toward the exit. She paused at the outer door, snow swirling around her dark coat. Mr. Reed, she said without looking back. Whatever you decide, you're a good father. Don't forget that. Then she was gone, disappearing into the white storm. Marcus faced Lauren. There's a room off the side of the chapel. The minister's office. Let's go there. Marcus, please. Walk. He gestured toward the side door. Through the chapel door, he could hear the whispers growing louder. 300 people were getting restless. Someone laughed nervously. Marcus caught his Aunt Clara's eye and shook his head slightly. She understood immediately, gathered Noah into her arms, and started toward the exit. His son was crying now, sensing something was very wrong. Marcus's heart cracked a little more, but he didn't look away from Lauren. She walked toward the minister's office, her wedding dress whispering against the floor. Marcus followed, each step feeling like a mile. 5 seconds of looking at those photos had changed everything. Now he had to find out why. The minister's office was small and warm, with dark wood paneling and books lining every wall. A space heater hummed in the corner. Through the window, Marcus could see the graveyard, headstones disappearing under fresh snow. Lauren stood near the desk, arms wrapped around herself. Her makeup was starting to run. Marcus closed the door. The sound of the wedding chaos outside faded to a dull murmur. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Marcus remembered the first time he'd seen Lauren. Noah's kindergarten class, parent-teacher night. She'd been wearing a yellow cardigan and had stickers on her hands, dinosaurs and stars. Noah had dragged Marcus over to her desk, chattering about the butterfly project they were doing. Miss Brennan is the best teacher in the whole world, Noah had announced. Lauren had smiled, and Marcus had felt something shift in his chest. Hope. Maybe. Or possibility. That was 2 years ago. He'd asked her out 6 months later, after running into her at the grocery store. They'd gone for coffee. Then dinner. Then she'd come over for movie night, and Noah had fallen asleep between them on the couch, and Marcus had thought, this could work. It had worked. For a while. Lauren had been patient with his boundaries, understood why he moved slowly, why he needed to be careful. She never pushed, never demanded more than he could give. I know trust is hard for you, she'd said once, lying in his bed while Noah slept down the hall, after what Noah's mom did. But I'm not her, Marcus. I'm here. I'm staying. He'd believed her. Marcus thought about all the moments that had led to today. The time Lauren had driven 2 hours in the rain to bring Noah his forgotten science project. The way she'd held Marcus after his father's funeral, let him cry without trying to fix anything. How she'd learned to make Noah's favorite spaghetti, remembered to cut the crusts off his sandwiches, taught him to tie his shoes when Marcus was working late. She'd become part of their life so gradually, so naturally, that Marcus had stopped questioning it. Maybe that was the problem. I was alone for 5 years, Marcus said finally. His voice was quiet, but it filled the small room. After Denise left, I swore I wouldn't bring another woman into Noah's life unless I was absolutely sure. Do you know what that was like? Every time I met someone, I had to think, will she stay? Will she hurt my son if this doesn't work out? Lauren's hands twisted in her dress. Marcus, I turned down dates. Good women? Probably. Women who might have been great with Noah, because I couldn't risk it. Couldn't risk him getting attached to someone who might leave. He paused, and then I met you. A tear rolled down Lauren's cheek, streaking her makeup. You were perfect, Marcus continued. Patient, understanding. You loved Noah. He loved you. You said all the right things. He pulled out his phone, pulled up the photos Vivian had sent him. So tell me, who's the man in these pictures? Lauren looked at the screen. Her face crumpled. Tell me, Marcus said again. His name is Ryan. Her voice was barely a whisper. We dated in college. He's in town for work. Did you sleep with him? Silence. Lauren, yes. She covered her face with her hands. Yes. I'm sorry. God, Marcus, I'm so sorry. The words landed like physical blows. Marcus had suspected it, had known it really, but hearing her confirm it was different. He sat down heavily in the minister's chair. Through the window, he watched snow bury another headstone. Why? He asked. If you didn't want to marry me, you could have just said so. We could have called this off a month ago, saved everyone the trouble. I do want to marry you. Lauren moved closer, desperate now. I love you. I love Noah. This was just it was a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake. Was it the first time? She hesitated a second too long. Lauren, no, she whispered. There were 2 other times. Last month, when Ryan was in town for a conference, Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. While you were here. While you were living in my house, reading bedtime stories to my son. It didn't mean anything. He's from my past, and when I saw him again, I just... She stopped, shook her head. There's no excuse. I know that. No, Marcus agreed. There isn't. He thought about Noah, probably crying in his aunt's car right now. Thought about all the plans they'd made the honeymoon to Disney World that Noah had been talking about for months, the family photos they'd scheduled, the new room they'd prepared for Lauren's things. Did you ever actually love me? He asked. Or was this just convenient? A ready-made family, a good man who'd be grateful for your attention? Don't say that. Lauren knelt beside the chair. Please, Marcus. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. We can work through this. We can go to counseling. We can. You made a mistake 3 times. His voice was flat now, drained of emotion. Last night, 12 hours before our wedding, you were with another man. And then you came here, put on that dress, and looked me in the eye like everything was fine. I was going to end it, Lauren said desperately. After the wedding, I was never going to see him again. He leaves next week. It would have been over. So you were going to marry me with a lie between us? It was just what? Marcus stood up. Just sex? Just betrayal? Lauren stood too, reaching for him. You're upset. You have every right to be. But don't throw away what we have because of 1. 3 mistakes. We're good together. Noah needs a mother. You don't. Marcus's voice turned hard. Don't you dare use my son to justify this. The knock on the door startled them both. Marcus's Aunt Clara stuck her head in. Baby, everyone's asking what's happening. Should I send them home? Marcus looked at Lauren one more time, saw her mascara-streaked face, her desperate eyes, her trembling hands. He thought about Noah, who'd already lost 1 mother, and he realized. Better to lose a lie than live with one. Yes, Marcus said to his aunt. Send them home. Clara closed the door softly, but Marcus heard her voice echoing through the chapel a moment later. Folks, I'm afraid we're going to need to postpone today's ceremony. The murmur of confusion turned into a wave of shocked conversation. Lauren grabbed Marcus's arm. No, wait. We can still do this. We can talk to them. Explain. Explain what? Marcus pulled away gently. That you've been sleeping with another man for the past month? That, last night, while I was home helping Noah write his wedding day speech, you were in a hotel room? It sounds worse when you say it like that. It is worse. Marcus moved to the window. The snow had intensified. His car was barely visible now. There's no version of this that sounds good, Lauren. She came up behind him, her voice breaking. I know I don't deserve another chance. I know I hurt you. But Noah, think about Noah. He's been so happy. He calls me Mom when he thinks you can't hear. Are you going to take that away from him? Marcus felt that knife twist deeper. She knew exactly where to strike. He turned to face her. You took it away from him. Not me. You made these choices. I'll end it. Right now. Lauren pulled out her phone with shaking hands. I'll block Ryan's number. Delete everything. You'll never, and 3 years from now? Marcus asked quietly. 5 years from now? When another man from your past shows up, or you get bored, or things get hard? What then? That won't happen. How do I know that? How does Noah know that? He saw her flinch. His biological mother already walked away. I've spent 5 years making sure he understands that wasn't his fault, that he didn't do anything wrong. And now you want me to marry you, knowing that you might do the same thing? I would never leave Noah. You already did, the moment you got in that elevator. Marcus's voice was firm but not cruel. You chose yourself over our family. 3 times. Lauren's face hardened. The desperation started shifting into something else. Anger, maybe, or pride wounded too deep. So that's it? She said. One mistake and I'm irredeemable? You're so perfect, Marcus. You never made a bad choice. I made plenty of bad choices, but I never made them at the expense of someone I claimed to love. He paused. And it wasn't one mistake, Lauren. It was 3. Plus, lying about it. Plus, planning to marry me anyway. Fine. She wiped her eyes, smearing makeup across her face. What do you want me to do? I want you to leave. Today. Clear your things out of my house while Noah and I are at my aunt's. You're serious. Completely. Lauren stared at him, and Marcus saw the moment she realized he wasn't going to change his mind. Her expression shifted through several emotions, shock, hurt, anger, before settling on something cold. This is why Denise left, she said quietly. Marcus went very still. You're too rigid, Lauren continued, her voice gaining strength. Too controlled. You have these impossible standards, and the moment someone shows they're human, you shut down. No wonder Noah's mother couldn't handle it. No wonder. Get out. You're going to end up alone, Marcus. You and Noah both. Because you can't forgive anyone for being imperfect. I said get out. Marcus opened the door. The chapel had mostly emptied. A few people lingered near the entrance, his cousin, the photographer, the wedding coordinator, looking stressed. Lauren pushed past him, her dress catching on the doorframe. She didn't fix it. Marcus watched her walk toward the exit, heels clicking against the stone floor. She grabbed her coat from the rack, struggled into it without stopping. At the door, she turned back. For a moment, Marcus thought she might apologize again, might show some understanding of what she'd destroyed. Instead, she said, I hope you find someone who meets your standards, but I doubt you will. Then she was gone, disappearing into the snow like Vivian had an hour earlier. Marcus stood alone in the empty chapel. The white roses still lined the aisle. The candles still burned. The minister emerged from his office, looking uncertain. Mr. Reed, he said gently. Where's Noah? Your aunt took him to her car. He's asking for you. Marcus nodded. He walked down the aisle, passing the pew where Noah had sat so excited just an hour ago. His feet felt heavy. At the door, he paused. Looked back at the altar where he'd almost made the biggest mistake of his life. Then he stepped out into the winter storm. Actually, let me restructure this. The confrontation happened in part 5. Let me revise to continue the emotional journey properly. The parking lot was chaos. Cars were trying to leave in the snow, wheels spinning, horns honking. Marcus spotted his aunt's silver SUV near the back, exhaust puffing white clouds into the cold air. He trudged through 6 inches of fresh snow, his dress shoes soaking through immediately. He didn't care. Through the SUV's rear window, he could see Noah's small silhouette. The boy's shoulders were shaking. Clara rolled down her window as Marcus approached. Her face was tight with worry and anger, though he knew the anger wasn't directed at him. Is it true? She asked. That woman cheated on you? Clara's jaw clenched. Baby, I never liked her. You know that. She was too perfect, too smooth. Women like that are always hiding something. You never said anything. Would you have listened? Fair point. Marcus had been so focused on giving Noah a complete family that he'd ignored his own instincts. There had been small things. Lauren's phone always face down, the way she'd sometimes disappear for hours without explanation, claiming work emergencies. He'd told himself he was being paranoid, that his experience with Denise had made him suspicious of all women. Turned out he hadn't been paranoid enough. Marcus opened the back door. Noah was curled against the opposite window, his little vest wrinkled, bow tie hanging loose. His face was red and wet. Hey, buddy, Marcus said softly. Noah threw himself across the seat into Marcus's arms. The boy sobbed into his shoulder, small hands gripping tight. Is Miss Lauren leaving? Noah asked between gasps. Like Mom did? Marcus's heart shattered. Yes. Why? What did we do wrong? Nothing. Marcus held his son tighter. You did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. Sometimes grown-ups make bad choices, and those choices have consequences. But she was going to be my mom. Noah's voice was small, broken. She promised. I know. She said she loved us. I know, buddy. I know. They sat like that while snow accumulated on the windshield, until Noah's sobs quieted to hiccups. Clara had gotten out of the car, giving them privacy. Marcus could see her through the window, talking to other family members, probably telling them to go home. Finally, Noah pulled back. His eyes were swollen, his face blotchy. Are you sad, Dad? Marcus considered lying, considered putting on a brave face. But Noah deserved the truth. Age-appropriate truth, anyway. Yes, he said. I'm very sad. I thought Miss Lauren was going to be part of our family for a long time. Did she do something bad? Will we ever see her again? I don't think so. Noah nodded slowly, processing. At 7, he'd already learned that people could disappear. This wasn't his first loss, and that fact made Marcus want to break something. Dad? Noah's voice was quiet. I'm glad it's just us again. You are? Yeah. Noah leaned against him. When Miss Lauren was around, you were different. Happier sometimes, but also worried. Like you were trying too hard. Kids saw everything. Marcus should have known. I'm sorry, Marcus said. I wanted to give you a mom. A normal family, but we are normal. Noah looked up at him with those serious dark eyes. We're just normal, different. Like Charlie's family, he has 2 dads. And Emma lives with her grandma. We're just us, and that's okay. 7 years old, and already wiser than Marcus had been at 42. You're right, Marcus said. We're just us. Clara tapped on the window. Everyone's gone. I'm taking you 2 to my house. You're staying for dinner. No arguments. Marcus nodded. He buckled Noah into his booster seat, then went to retrieve his own car. It took 10 minutes to brush off the snow and get the engine started. As he pulled out of the parking lot, Marcus glanced in the rearview mirror. The chapel looked peaceful, almost magical, covered in white, like the disaster inside had never happened. But it had, and now Marcus had to figure out what came next. Over the next 3 days, Marcus learned that Lauren wasn't going to go quietly. The first message came that night, after Noah was asleep at Clara's house. Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." He deleted it. More messages followed over the next days. At first, they were apologetic. "I'm so sorry. Please give me another chance. I'll do anything." Then angry. "You're being cruel. Throwing away a year of my life over one mistake." Then calculating. "Noah needs a mother. You're being selfish, thinking only about your hurt feelings." Marcus blocked the numbers. She'd find new ones. On Tuesday, his phone rang while he was making breakfast. Noah's school. His stomach dropped. "Mr. Reed? This is Principal Hayes. I wanted to give you a heads up. Miss Brennan stopped by this morning. She was asking to see Noah." Marcus's hand tightened on the phone. "Did she?" "No. We informed her that she's not on the approved pickup list, and since you'd called yesterday to let us know about the situation, we asked her to leave. She became upset." "How upset?" "Campus security had to escort her out." Principal Hayes paused. "I wanted you to know. We're keeping an extra eye on Noah today. Thank you. I appreciate it." Marcus hung up and immediately called his lawyer. Ex-lawyer. Technically the man who'd handled his custody paperwork with Denise. "I need a restraining order," Marcus said when David answered. By Wednesday, Lauren's true colors were fully showing. She'd created a social media account, something she'd never had before, claiming she didn't like the drama. Now, she had plenty to share. Marcus's phone exploded with messages from friends showing him the posts. Photos of Noah with Lauren, captioned, "Missing my little man," being kept from him by a father who thinks he's above forgiveness. Photos from their relationship, carefully curated. "A year of my life. Thrown away because I'm human and made a mistake." The narrative she was spinning was clear. Marcus was the villain. Cold, unforgiving, keeping her from a child she loved. No mention of Ryan, no mention of the hotel, just Lauren as the victim. Marcus's cousin James called furious. "She's posting pictures of Noah, without your permission." "I know. My lawyer's handling it. You want me to go talk to her?" "Because I will. No." Marcus kept his voice calm. "Let her show everyone who she really is. The truth will come out." And it did, though not how Marcus expected. On Thursday morning, Vivian Blackwood called him. "Are you watching this?" she asked without preamble. "Watching what?" "Your ex-fiancé's social media meltdown." "Someone sent me the links." Marcus pinched the bridge of his nose. "I'm aware. My lawyer says. She's attacking you at work, too. Emailed half the company about what an emotionally abusive boss I must be to have enabled your behavior." "What?" "She's claiming I coerced you into leaving her. That I have inappropriate feelings for you and sabotaged your wedding out of jealousy." Vivian's tone was dry. "It's creative, I'll give her that." Marcus felt sick. "I'm sorry. I'll handle this. Already handled. I forwarded her emails to our legal team. She'll receive a cease and desist by end of day." Vivian paused. "How are you holding up?" The question surprised him. Vivian didn't do personal check-ins. "I've been better," Marcus admitted. "And Noah? Resilient. Kids are tougher than we think." "Good." Another pause. "For what it's worth, Reed, you made the right choice. People who betray trust like that don't suddenly become trustworthy." Experience talking? Unfortunately, they sat in silence for a moment. Marcus could hear office sounds in the background on her end, phones ringing, voices murmuring. "Thank you," he said, finally, "for coming to the wedding. For telling me. You already thanked me. I meant it then, too. I know." Vivian's voice softened almost imperceptibly. "Take the rest of the week off. Spend time with your son. The office can survive without you. Miss Blackwood, I don't need. It wasn't a suggestion. See you Monday, Reed." She hung up. Marcus stood in his kitchen, phone in hand, feeling oddly moved. Vivian Blackwood had driven through a snowstorm to save him from a mistake, then protected him from his ex's vindictive aftermath. Maybe they were friends after all. That afternoon, the restraining order was approved. Lauren was prohibited from contacting Marcus or Noah, approaching their home or Noah's school, or posting about them on social media. She violated it within 6 hours, sending one final message from yet another new number. "You're broken, Marcus. You were broken when I met you, and you'll be broken forever. That's why no one stays." Marcus forwarded it to his lawyer, then blocked the number. But the words stayed with him longer than he wanted to admit. The legal aftermath took 2 weeks to fully resolve. Lauren removed the social media posts, but screenshots had already spread through their social circles. Marcus found himself having the same conversation over and over. "I'm so sorry you're going through this. Thank you. What a terrible person. You must be devastated." Marcus didn't know how to explain that devastation wasn't quite the right word. Relieved? Maybe. Angry. Sad for Noah. But devastated implied he'd lost something real, and he was starting to realize he'd never really had it. The wedding expenses were another mess. The venue, non-refundable. The photographer had done her job. There were hundreds of photos of guests arriving, of Marcus at the altar, of that moment when Vivian walked down the aisle. Marcus deleted them all except one. Noah in his little vest, giving a thumbs up before everything fell apart. He framed that photo and put it on Noah's nightstand. "Why that one?" Noah asked, the night Marcus hung it up. "Because you were brave," Marcus said. "You got all dressed up, you sat in that big chapel, and you were ready to support our family even though you were nervous. But our family didn't happen. Our family has always been happening, buddy. It's you and me." Noah studied the photo. "I look good in that vest." "You do. Can I wear it to Grandma's Christmas party?" Absolutely. The financial hit was significant. Marcus had saved for a year to pay for the wedding, and now most of that money was gone. But he found he didn't care. It was just money. Noah's trust, his sense of security, those were priceless. Marcus's family rallied. His Aunt Clara came by 3 times a week with food. His cousin James took Noah to a basketball game. His Uncle Robert offered to take care of Lauren if Marcus wanted, which Marcus declined with a smile. "I'm serious," Robert said. "I know a guy, Uncle Robert, stop, who can have her transferred to Alaska." Not helping, but it was helping. Knowing his family had his back, that they believed him, that they supported his choice, it made the whole mess more bearable. Work was the same. Word had spread about what happened, and Marcus received unexpected support from colleagues he'd barely known. One of the junior analysts, a quiet woman named Sarah, stopped by his office. "I just wanted to say," she told him, "my ex did something similar. Cheated, then tried to make me the villain when I left. It's hard. But you did the right thing. For yourself and for your son." "Thank you," Marcus said. "That means a lot." "Also," Sarah added with a small smile, "Miss Blackwood threatened to fire anyone who gossips about you in the break room. So that's been entertaining to watch." After Sarah left, Marcus sat at his desk and laughed for the first time in 2 weeks. Vivian Blackwood defending his honor. The world had gotten strange. Friday afternoon, Marcus's lawyer called with good news. "Lauren signed the agreement," David said. "All claims withdrawn. She's agreed to stay away from you and Noah permanently. We're done." Marcus felt a weight lift. "Thank you, David. One more thing. She wanted me to pass along a message. Do I want to hear it? Probably not. But here it is. Tell him he'll regret this someday. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, tell her I already don't. That night, Marcus made Noah's favorite dinner mac and cheese with hot dogs cut into little stars. They ate in front of the TV, watching a superhero movie Noah had seen a dozen times. During the credits, Noah curled up against Marcus's side. Yeah, buddy? Are you going to get married someday? To someone else? Marcus considered the question carefully. Maybe. Someday. When I meet someone who deserves you, what if you don't meet anyone? Then it's just us. And that's enough. Noah thought about this. What if I want you to meet someone? So you're not lonely. I'm not lonely, Noah. I have you, but when I grow up and move away, then I'll get a dog. Noah giggled. A big one? Huge. The biggest dog in the world. Okay. Noah relaxed. Then I feel better. Outside, snow was falling again. Marcus watched the flakes drift past the window, thinking about how much had changed in 2 weeks. No wife, no wedding, no new family structure, just him and Noah, like it had always been. And somehow, that felt right. 3 weeks after the wedding that wasn't, Marcus found himself sitting in a downtown bar at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. It wasn't his kind of place, too upscale, too quiet. The kind of bar where business people met to discuss deals over expensive scotch. But Clara had insisted he needed to get out of the house, and Noah was at a sleepover, and Marcus had decided why not. The bartender was attentive without being intrusive. Marcus nursed a whiskey he didn't particularly want and watched snow fall outside the tall windows. He was starting to feel almost normal again. The sharp edges of betrayal had dulled into something more manageable. He could think about Lauren without anger, now mostly just relief that he'd dodged that bullet. Noah was doing better too. The nightmares had stopped. The questions about Lauren had faded. Kids were resilient in ways adults couldn't quite manage. Is this seat taken? Marcus looked up. Vivian Blackwood stood beside his table, wearing a long cashmere coat and carrying a briefcase. Her dark hair was slightly damp from the snow outside. Miss Blackwood, Marcus said, surprised. I didn't expect, this doesn't seem like your kind of place either. It's not. Client meeting ran late. I came here to decompress before driving home. She gestured to the empty chair. May I? Of course. Vivian sat, setting her briefcase aside. She didn't order a drink, just removed her coat and settled in with the kind of efficiency she brought to everything. For a moment, they sat in silence. It wasn't uncomfortable, exactly. More like two people who'd shared something significant and weren't quite sure how to return to normal. How's Noah? Vivian asked finally. Good. Better than I expected, honestly. Kids are tough. And you? Marcus considered lying, then decided against it. I'm okay. Some days better than others. That's honest. You drove 3 hours through a snowstorm to save me from making a massive mistake. Figure I owe you honesty. Vivian's lips twitched, not quite a smile, but close. You don't owe me anything, Reed. Then call it gratitude. The bartender approached, but Vivian waved him away. She leaned back in her chair, looking at Marcus with those cool gray eyes that missed nothing. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. Why didn't you just walk back in there and finish the ceremony? A lot of men would have. Figured out the cheating later. Dealt with it privately. Marcus swirled his whiskey. Because Noah was watching. Explain. My son has already had one parent leave without explanation. If I'd married Lauren, knowing what I knew, and then she'd left later or I'd left her, he would have questioned everything. Wondered if it was his fault somehow. Kids always do. Marcus looked directly at Vivian. I couldn't teach him that lies are acceptable. That staying in something broken is better than walking away clean, even though it was humiliating. Humiliation fades. Lies compound. Vivian was quiet for a long moment. Then, My ex-husband had an affair with his secretary. Classic cliché. I found out 8 months into our marriage. Stayed anyway because I'd signed a prenup that would have left me with almost nothing, and I was still building my career. What happened? I made my fortune. Then I divorced him and took half. She paused. But those 3 years I stayed. Pretending everything was fine, they changed me. Made me harder, more suspicious. I regret staying more than I regret the marriage itself. Marcus had never heard Vivian talk about anything personal. At work, she was all business, sharp, efficient, brilliant. He'd assumed she had no personal life at all. "Is that why you came to my wedding?" he asked. "Because you wished someone had done the same for you?" "Partly." Vivian picked up Marcus's whiskey glass and took a small sip without asking. "Also because I've worked with you for 4 years, Reed. You're one of the few genuinely decent people I know. Watching you marry someone who'd betray you 12 hours before the ceremony felt wrong. So you played guardian angel. I don't believe in angels. I believe in information." Marcus smiled. Fair enough. Outside, the snow was getting heavier. The streets were almost empty now, just a few cars creeping along carefully. "I should go," Vivian said. "Before the roads get worse." "Yeah, me too." But neither of them moved. Finally, Vivian stood and gathered her things. At the door, she turned back. "Reed, you made the right choice. With Lauren. With walking away. You already told me that." "I know. But you looked like you needed to hear it again." Then she was gone, disappearing into the snowy night just like she had at the chapel. Marcus sat alone at his table, feeling something shift in his chest. Not attraction, exactly, though Vivian was striking, in a cold marble statue kind of way. More like recognition. 2 people who'd been burned. 2 people who'd chosen truth over comfort. It wasn't romance. But it was something. Marcus paid his tab and headed home to his sleeping son, feeling lighter than he had in weeks. Christmas came and went. Marcus and Noah spent it with family, surrounded by noise and love and too much food. Noah got the Lego set he'd been asking for. Marcus got socks, which he actually appreciated. No one mentioned Lauren. It was like she'd never existed. By January, life had settled into a new rhythm. Noah went to school. Marcus went to work. They had their routines: Saturday morning pancakes, Sunday afternoon bike rides, bedtime stories, every night without fail. It was simple, clean, good. Marcus realized he hadn't been this content in years. The wedding planning had been stressful, though he hadn't admitted it at the time. Always worrying about budgets, guest lists, seating charts, always trying to make sure Lauren felt included in every decision while also protecting Noah's feelings. Now he didn't have to balance anyone's needs but his son's and his own. Freedom felt good. At work, things had shifted slightly. Vivian still ran the company with an iron fist, still expected perfection, still terrified most of the staff. But with Marcus, there was a new ease. She'd stop by his office sometimes, ostensibly to discuss projects, but often just to talk. About business, about the news, about nothing much at all. "People are gossiping," Sarah told him one day, grinning. "They think Miss Blackwood has a crush on you. That's ridiculous." "Is it? She never talks to anyone like she talks to you." Marcus thought about that. About the wedding, the bar, the small moments of vulnerability Vivian had shown him. Maybe Sarah was right. Maybe something was there. But Marcus wasn't ready to examine it. Not yet. The thing about betrayal, he was learning, was that it didn't just hurt in the moment. It left aftershocks, moments when you questioned your own judgment, wondered if you'd ever be able to trust anyone again. Marcus caught himself doing it. Analyzing everything Noah's teachers said, looking for hidden meanings. Being suspicious when Clara was late to pick Noah up from his house. Wondering if the woman who'd smiled at him in the grocery store was just being friendly or wanted something. It was exhausting. "You're going to drive yourself crazy," Clara told him over coffee one Saturday. Noah was in her backyard, playing with her dog. I know. Lauren was one person. One bad apple. You can't let her ruin everyone else for you. I'm not. You are. I see it in your eyes. You're waiting for the next disaster. Marcus sighed. Can you blame me? No. But I can tell you it's no way to live. Clara reached across the table and squeezed his hand. You're a good man, Marcus. You deserve good things. Don't let her steal that from you. Later that night, after Noah was asleep, Marcus stood at his bedroom window watching snow fall. It had been snowing on and off since November, blanketing the city in white, making everything look clean and new. He thought about Lauren's last message. You're broken, Marcus. Was he? Maybe. A little, but broken things could be fixed. Or at least, they could learn to work differently. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Marcus's stomach clenched, expecting more harassment from Lauren. Instead, it's Vivian. Got your number from HR. Hope that's not inappropriate. Wanted to check, are you free for coffee next Saturday? Not business, just coffee. Marcus stared at the message for a long time. Coffee, with his boss, who'd saved him from a disastrous marriage and then, slowly, carefully, become something like a friend. He could say no. Should say no, probably. The power dynamic was complicated. The timing was terrible. He was still recovering from one relationship disaster. Why walk into another potential complication? But then he thought about Vivian standing in that snowy parking lot at his wedding, risking social ridicule to tell him the truth. Thought about her sitting in that bar, sharing her own story of betrayal and regret. Thought about how she'd asked about Noah, had defended him at work, had seen him at his worst, and not looked away. Marcus typed, Saturday works. Noah has soccer at 10, but I'm free after. Say 11:30? The response came quickly. Perfect. I'll send you the address. See you then, Reed. Marcus set down his phone and went to check on Noah one more time before bed. His son was sprawled across his sheets, clutching a stuffed dinosaur, peaceful and safe. We're going to be okay, Marcus whispered. He meant it. Outside, snow continued to fall, covering the streets, the houses, the scars of the past, making everything new again. It wasn't an ending. It was barely even a beginning. But it was enough. For now, it was enough. The coffee on that Saturday had turned into lunch the next week. Lunch had become dinner. Dinner had become regular Thursday nights when Noah was at his uncle's house. Marcus moved slowly. Vivian didn't push. They talked about everything, work, family, the scars their exes had left. Vivian met Noah casually at first. A coincidental run-in at the park that Noah saw right through. Dad's being weird again, Noah told Marcus that night. He gets all smiley when Miss Blackwood is around. Do you like her? Marcus asked carefully. Noah considered. She's smart, and she doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby. Is that a yes? It's a maybe. I need more data. 7-year-olds. Scientists in training. The data came in gradually. Vivian at Noah's soccer game, cheering louder than anyone else. Vivian helping with homework, explaining math concepts Marcus had forgotten. Vivian letting Noah teach her how to play his favorite video game, even though she was terrible at it. By June, Noah's verdict was in. She's okay. You can keep her. Marcus laughed until he cried. They still moved slowly. Marcus's house, his rules. Vivian never stayed over when Noah was home. They kept their relationship quiet at work, though everyone knew anyway. You're happy, Clara observed one Sunday. Really happy. I haven't seen you like this in years. I am, Marcus admitted. What's different this time? Marcus thought about it. She sees me. The real me, broken parts and all, and she doesn't try to fix them or pretend they don't exist. She just accepts them. That's love, baby. Maybe it was. Marcus wasn't ready to use that word yet, but he was getting there. One Saturday in August, Almost 8 months after the wedding that never was, Marcus took Noah to the park. They were throwing a football when Vivian arrived, wearing jeans and a t-shirt, casual clothes Marcus still wasn't used to seeing her in. "Can I try?" she asked. Noah threw her the ball. She caught it, then threw it back with surprising accuracy. "You played sports?" Marcus asked. "Quarterback in high school. Full scholarship." Vivian grinned. "I contain multitudes, Reed." They played until Noah got distracted by the playground. Marcus and Vivian sat on a bench, watching him climb the jungle gym. "He's a good kid," Vivian said. "The best. You did that. Single-handedly. He made it easy. He's resilient." Vivian was quiet for a moment. Then, "I'm glad she didn't marry you." Marcus looked at her, surprised. "Lauren," Vivian clarified. "I'm glad I stopped that wedding. Not just because she didn't deserve you, but because—" She trailed off, uncharacteristically uncertain. "Because?" Marcus prompted gently. "Because then I wouldn't have gotten to know you. Like this." Marcus took her hand. It was cold, despite the summer heat. "I'm glad, too." They sat like that, watching Noah play, while the city bustled around them. No drama, no lies. Just two people who'd been broken by betrayal, learning to trust again. It wasn't perfect. Vivian still worked too much. Marcus still had moments of doubt. Noah still had bad dreams sometimes about people leaving, but they were figuring it out together. And that, Marcus had learned, was what actually mattered. Not perfection, not certainty, just honesty, effort, and the willingness to keep trying. That night, after dropping Vivian at her car and taking Noah home, Marcus found a text waiting. "Thank you for today. For letting me in. For trusting me with Noah. I don't take it lightly. V." Marcus typed back. "Thank you for stopping my wedding." Her response, "Best decision I ever made." Marcus put Noah to bed, read him 2 stories instead of 1, and kissed his forehead. "Dad?" Noah murmured, half asleep. "Yeah, buddy, I like our family, the way it is now." "Me too, Noah, me too." Outside, the summer night was warm and clear. No snow, no cold, no chaos, just peace. Marcus had learned that happiness didn't come from having the perfect family structure or the perfect partner. It came from choosing truth, protecting what mattered, and being brave enough to start over when necessary. The wedding in the snow had felt like an ending, but it had actually been a beginning. The best kind built on honesty, not lies, and that made all the difference.